You know, there ain't nothing like a one-pot meal. It's so easy on the cook and usually very, very tasty at the same time. Now, the first dish I'm gonna make for y'all is ribs and kraut. Now, I'm using a cast iron Dutch oven because it's a nice thick material and it's gonna cook our ribs and kraut so evenly. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do is just put in just a little olive oil or vegetable oil to season the bottom of our pot. Now, I'm using a nice baby back rib today for my ribs, but you can use a country style rib, which is a rib that's real, real meaty and real thick, or you can just use a regular spare rib. Now, all I'm gonna do is season those up, and I'm gonna just use salt and pepper, nothing fancy. I want just the good, raw, natural flavor that I'm gonna get from the ribs and from the kraut. And I'm gonna sear these off rather quickly. So down in the pot they go. Like I said, we're just gonna kind of quickly brown those off. You know, and the grand thing about this dish is I can get our supper going and then join the rest of the family and play and goof off with them. And then before we know it, supper's ready. So there goes our ribs. And while those are browning off, I'm just gonna come over here and I'm just gonna peddle an onion. And then I'm gonna throw that in there after I brown off my ribs. Now, you've got several options on your kraut. You can make a homemade kraut. You can use a canned sauerkraut. Now, I'm using a bagged kraut that you can find in the produce section at your grocery store. And that's the one I recommend. In fact, I could stand to eat a kraut dog while I'm standing up here cooking these ribs. It's so good. So these don't need much, y'all. Just, like I said, just brown them off a little bit. You know, kind of like if you were cooking a pot roast. You know how your mama would always get in the kitchen and sear off that pot roast? That's basically what we're doing to our ribs. Now I'm just gonna drop our onions down in there. Brown them off a little bit. Come on, onion. Work with me. And while those are browning off, I'm just gonna stick some potatoes in with it because this will make our meal just a little bit heartier. And this will give us 2 vegetables and our meat. Ooh, and those ribs kind of stuck to the bottom of our pot. So I'm gonna keep those moving because those little pieces of goodness are gonna help season up our sauerkraut, and it's gonna be so good. Okay. So I'm gonna throw in our potatoes. I'm gonna add a little bit more salt and a little bit more pepper. And then I'm just gonna pile our ribs back onto the vegetables. And now all I have to do is take our sauerkraut and just pour it over our ribs. Look at that. Look how good that does look. Now I'm gonna put just a little wine. And if you don't want to use wine, you don't have to. You can substitute that by just pouring a little water in, or a little chicken stock or pork stock. Just that easy. We got a meal ready. Isn't it great? And you know, you may say, oh no, I don't like kraut. Well, let me tell you something. by the time that pork goodness cooks out of there and gets into that sauerkraut, I promise you will become a kraut fan. And especially if you use the fresh bagged kraut, makes it even better. Michael.
Hey there.
How about doing me a favor?
What you need?
Stick that in the oven for me.
I will.
And be careful now, it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot and it's heavy. Can you get it?
Yep.
Now, y'all, I'm gonna cook it for about 2.5 to 3 hours on about 325 or 350. And when we come back, y'all, I've got some more great one-pot wonders. Coming up, a one-pot wonder of the world, crock pot shrimp Creole. And later, it's a hearty Shaggy Man split pea soup for my man. And you're not gonna believe this crock pot dessert. It's a slow berry cobbler. I so hope y'all are enjoying the show. And if you do, be sure to click like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you'll never miss a video. And we'll be right back after the break. So welcome back. Today's menu is all about one-pot wonders, y'all. This next dish I'm gonna do is a great one-pot wonder. It's shrimp Creole. Now I'm gonna come over here and get my cast iron heated up. I'm gonna put a couple of tablespoons of olive oil in the pot. I'm gonna get it going here on the stove because I wanna kinda brown off my trinity, which is bell pepper, onions, and celery. So while our olive oil is heating, I'm just gonna get our vegetables going. And I'm using about 1/2 cup of each. Okie doke. And this doesn't have to be diced fine. I like to be able to see my trinity. There we go. And I'm just gonna throw it all in at one time. And that almost looks like 1/2 cup right there, but just to make sure, I don't think you can have too much of your vegetables in there. All right, so let's scoop it all up. We're almost there with this one-pot dish. All I have to do, y'all, after this is ready, is just cook a pot of rice. And I've got a wonderful meal thrown together. So now we're just gonna add 1 teaspoon of chili powder. And we're just gonna cook those in that powder until our vegetables are kind of caramelized. See how it's turning our trinity a different color? Looks good. All right, now I've got our crock pot set to the high setting. Whoa, y'all, look. You know, when you, kiddies, when you're cooking with gas, you have to be real careful. Oh, it was almost a tragic end, kiddies. All right, so our vegetables in our crock pot, I'm gonna add 1 can, 14-ounce can of tomatoes, 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce, about a tablespoon of hot sauce, and I'm just gonna eyeball that. That looks like a tablespoon. That's a Michael Groover tablespoon, y'all. And about a tablespoon of Worcestershire. And about a teaspoon of sugar. Gonna just sweeten up the tartness of those tomatoes a little bit. Black pepper. And a little salt. All right, and I'm gonna stir this around a little bit. Now, all we're gonna do at this point is cover this up. We're gonna let it cook for 3 hours on high. So come on down here and I'll show you what this looks like after 3 hours. look how those stewed tomatoes have stewed on down even more. Now, I've got about 1.5 pounds of large shrimp here that I've peeled and deveined. We're just gonna dump those in, and I'm gonna let this cook for about 10 minutes because you know that shrimp don't take very long. No kind of seafood do you want to overcook. But guess what time it is? It's time to taste our ribs and our kraut. Now, if I can just get Michael to come back in here and help us. Mikey?
Hey.
Hey.
Need some help?
Yes, if you would just take that back out of the oven for me.
I'll do it.
That would be great. Be careful now, because it's hot. I've got our crock pot shrimp Creole going. Woo! Just sit it right there, hon.
Right down.
Yes. Look, I just caught on fire a second ago.
Oh, that smells good.
Doesn't that smell delicious? How you coming with the jet skis?
Oh, they're about ready. You ready?
Good. I am so almost ready. I've got like 2 more dishes I want to cook. And then I'm going to be joining in on the fun or the work.
There you go. This looks great.
You want a little color?
No, I don't eat those.
Oh, come on. Have a little color. All right. Tell me what you think.
Mm-mm.
You like it?
Oh, I do. It's delicious.
This is delish, y'all. You must try it. Easy, easy meal. Up next, y'all, it's a twist on a classic. My Shaggy Man split pea soup. And later, y'all are not gonna believe this one-pot dessert. It's a slow berry cobbler. So don't go anywhere, unless your grocery store is 2 minutes away to pick you up some ribs and kraut. I hope y'all are enjoying the show, and I want to hear from you. Tell me what recipes or videos you'd like to see me make by just leaving a short comment below. Now, let's get back to the show, y'all. Hey, y'all, welcome back. For those of y'all that maybe have just flipped the channel and found that I was on today, it's all about One Pot Wonder Meals. Now, the next dish I'm gonna make is a Shaggy Man split pea soup. Now, the reason I call it that is because my Shaggy Man, Michael, it's like his favorite soup. So, I'm gonna start by melting 1/2 stick of butter in my pot. I've got my pot heating up. I've got 1/2 pound of thick slab bacon here, and it's gonna just start giving it a wonderful smoky flavor. All right, now while our bacon is cooking up, I'm gonna come over here and get our vegetables ready. And I'm gonna dice my onion. All right. And now I'm just gonna dice up a couple of stalks of celery. And over here, I've got 2 carrot sticks. The carrots will give it a great flavor, but it'll also add just a nice little bit of color to our soup. And I wanna make sure I use all those leaves from the celery because they've got great flavor. They give it texture and just make our soup just look prettier. So everything goes in the pot. I'm gonna toss in our carrots now. All right, there we go. All right, now, the thing that makes split pea soup so good to me is the flavor of ham or pork in it. So I'm gonna toss in our pork sausage, and I've got 1 pound of dried split peas that I put on to soak yesterday. And this method really speeds up the cooking of our split pea soup. I just put them in cold water, throw the pot in the sink, and let it sit overnight. And now for our liquid. The recipe, y'all, calls for 3 quarts of chicken stock. Well, I think I'm just gonna put in 2 quarts to start with. Because, you know, I can always add to, but I can't take away. Doesn't that look good? Looks yummy. Now I'm gonna add some salt. And you can see the fat from the butter and the sausage and the bacon. And that's gonna get in those peas and make them so stinking good, y'all. All right, a little pepper. And then I'm gonna throw in a little house seasoning. It's a cup of salt, 1/4 of a cup of black pepper, 1/4 of a cup of garlic powder, and 1/4 of a cup of onion powder. I'm gonna just break up that sausage a little bit. And now I'm gonna throw in our peas. Look at that. Doesn't that look hearty and delicious? Now I'm just gonna put the lid on that and I'm gonna let it cook on a nice low temperature. I'm gonna let it simmer for 2 hours on top of the stove. But in the meantime, y'all, the shrimp Creole is ready. I smell those shrimp, I smell that rice. So let's step down here and give it a little taste, and that'll give our split pea soup time to cook. Look at that. Doesn't that look delicious? So, you know, I just can't personally have shrimp Creole without some good old rice. And look, I've got a pot of sticky rice. I adore sticky rice. It gumps together. And you know, the rice must be buttered. A little butter. Looks delicious, doesn't it? A little green onions for topping. This is out of this world, y'all. Hardly any effort. Coming up, you're not gonna believe this crock pot dessert. It's a slow berry cobbler. So don't go anywhere. Got a great menu today with one pot wonders. I so hope y'all are enjoying the show. And if you do, be sure to click like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you'll never miss a video. And we'll be right back after the break. Hey, y'all, welcome back. I've got Michael's Shaggy Man split pea soup ready.
Yummy.
Why don't you move it up here, Michael?
I'll do it. This is my favorite. I can remember when you used to like me, you used to do this.
I still like you. No, I love you, Michael Groover.
Well, I love you too. This could be a meal in itself too.
Oh, sure, along with your bread.
Oh, it's delicious.
I bet you'd ask me to marry you all over again, wouldn't
I
you?
would. Will you marry me?
Yes, I will, Michael Groover. I love you. Although I am going to put you to work.
Okay.
Because the last dish I've got going for us today is a dessert. I know how much that means to you. I'm using, bring it on down here, Michael. Sit it right there. And you can eat on it while we're putting our cobbler together.
Good thing.
I'm using frozen fruits today for our cobbler rather than fresh, but you can certainly, if you've got the fresh fruits, use those. But I'm using 3 bags of mixed berries. I'm using a blueberry, a strawberry, and a raspberry. So, Michael, I'm gonna dump these in the bowl, and it's got some biscuit mix. If you would measure out a 1/2 cup, yeah, honey, just dump it on in. And some people like their berries really, really tart. What my sweet is and your sweet is can be 2 different things. So I'm gonna double the sugar. I'm gonna use 2/3 of a cup of sugar in mine. The reason we're putting the biscuit mix in with our berries is that's gonna work as a thickening agent for the juices from our fruit. So you can just go ahead and throw that in the crock pot.
Okay.
Now I've made us a topping for our fruit, and I've used 2 1/4 cup of biscuit mix, 1/4 of a cup of sugar, and 1/2 stick of melted butter, and 1/2 cup of milk. So all we're gonna do is just take this dough, and we're just gonna break it. and cover our fruit with that. And we're gonna cook this on high for about 3 hours. And at the end of 3 hours, you're gonna take that lid off and you're gonna have your man jumping in circles. Come on, baby, show them how you jump in circles. Look here, Michael.
Oh my goodness.
Look at all that wonderful juice.
Oh my goodness.
Now, y'all, when you're making your slow berry cobbler, you can mix it up. You know, if you don't like raspberries, you don't have to use those. Just use whatever berry happens to be your favorite.
Oh, that looks great.
Show me that dance one more time.
I don't want to spill it. Oh, God, let's try this one.
It is
Delicious.
so good. Hey, y'all, it's Paula Deen. Now, if y'all enjoyed this week's full episode Friday, be sure to like it and click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to be alerted when I post a video. Love and best dishes, friends.